Welcome to really early on Friday morning, November 4th, 2022. I am your host, Ken Braverman, and it is a Ken Talks Stocks podcast. We're going to talk stock options. We're going to talk different companies. Haven't done one of these videos in at least a week, and I like to do them every day. Even though I haven't done a video every day, I still have been going through the company sheet. And what I'm doing here is a big project, is we're going through what was originally over 3,000 companies over a couple of years ago. I put this in here. 3,000 companies. We're reviewing them. I'm reviewing their financials in a current fashion, really looking over everything, putting a target price for this company, for whatever we would be doing on that company, whether it be a long call option, if we think they're going to go up. If there's a number here, that means we think they're a long call potential company, meaning a company we like in a long call form on an option. And if you see the word put, it means we like to, well, short them. Roblox, Schrodinger, DraftKings, Facebook. Boy, oh boy, Facebook. Anyway, point is I haven't done one of these videos in a while, but I have updated the file and gone through a lot of companies. We're down to 418 companies, and I've reviewed many of them. I have reviewed what appears to be 223 of those 418. So we've got about half still to review, but we're making a lot of progress. So let's talk about today. Let's talk about sentiment in the market. A lot of things that happened over the last week. And I did put some money in to play some stock options this week. We're going to start tomorrow. So we're going to talk about what we're going to do today, I should say, Friday, November 4th. All right. Well, if you look at this for what it's supposed to be, just in its raw form, if we haven't done any more analysis, I'm sorting this thing by percent target price, which means that I'm saying that this company is going up to this price in the next like quarter or something. That this is the type of price that I think that they would reach. That's right, way above where they are. Because I'm a big fan of Tesla in a lot of ways. Well, a lot of things have moved and a lot of market conditions have brought some stuff down. And there's stuff I want to talk about. I also want to talk about this United Therapeutics in this video because healthcare and advancements in taking care of us and treating us is an area of almost an untapped area of healthcare that you don't even really kind of understand how to price yet, because when there's special therapies that can be done that cost a lot of money that are just for you, but they can grow you an organ, like you need a 3D printed organ that's going to work for you, that's going to save you a liver, a pancreas, whatever it is. United Therapeutics, I found this company for the first time today, and they went up a ton. And when you look at them on the list, I was like, what do they do? And I started reading and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I've seen specials on this. I've thought about molecular coding at the genetic DNA level and how things need to mesh in the human body. And I've seen 3D printing organs. I've seen them like they bleach an organ essentially and take all of the strip all the cells on it, and then they kind of print this bio paste on top of it, and it will form around the scaffolding of what on certain organs like hearts and things like that. It's amazing what they can do. We're just at the cusp of how we're going to incorporate this into our lives. So I saw them and of course look at them go berserk, and then I realized, oh well, their financials are actually getting good and getting better, and this takes some time to adopt. I mean, let's get real. Like, if you told me growing up, if you told me that we'd be printing organs for people, I still said that sounded like science fiction. And to many people, that will sound like science fiction today. It is like, of course, not 100% there and totally working the way we would expect yet, but that's because there's so many different combinations of DNA and expressions of cells and genes and stuff like that, that we're working out that genetic code, and that's becoming part of the process. So I saw this company go up 4.6% today. I saw, oh, and they're profitable. Oh, and humans want to live healthier lives, wouldn't we all? Yeah, that's a company that's on the list now, and I'm glad I found them. So it's great to go through companies and really find interesting things. Borg Warner, I think when it comes to the electrical battery thing, they haven't been dropping much at all when they do drop, but there is something else I want to talk about, which is from now until the election, because we got to talk about Friday, we talk about kind of stock options and stuff I'm going to purchase tomorrow. From now until the election, which is next week, right? And no matter what, here's what you can predict about what's going to happen in the US elections. there's going to be like a tentative answer, and there's going to be a lot of complaining on both sides, no matter what happens. And it's not going to be decided by the end of next week. I mean, even when Trump lost in the presidential election, years ago, it still took till about Friday before people were partying in the streets saying, oh, we all accepted that he lost. We counted out the electoral votes. We're all used to seeing, on the television, we're all used to seeing the map. We're seeing stuff be certain colors, and there's a number eventually at the end of the night or the end of the next couple of days. And we added it up, right? There's no electoral college for presidency, but there's other things going on. There's going to be squabbling about this one, I think, for a while. So I'm sure there is, because there's already pre-complaining now, and there's going to be runoffs. There's all kinds of weird things that happen, right? So there, the uncertainty meter is blinking in my mind, and that's what I'm seeing when I'm seeing red in a lot of things, even in the top 10, right? Is there's all this apprehension, and it's very difficult for me to imagine a week like from now until next Friday, even. Okay, the next week, we're talking about super short-term, crazy gambling options, but we're going to gamble on the sentiment of next week and what that's going to do to the market. All right. So there's a few things I've noticed from watching the market recently, which is anytime something bad happens, and I saw this when I was reviewing stocks today, and I sorted ascending over here, and I was like, who got spanked today, right? Like, and it wasn't necessarily bad companies. Like Kellogg's is always going to have your cereal, and they're going to make some money, and they're going to pace their boxes with inflation. I noticed it today. I was at the store buying cereal, and I was like, wow, everything's $6.49 now, except for some other random stuff. I go, yeah, it is catching up a little bit. Stuff like this took huge hits today, here relatively big hits for them. And I thought, anytime there's some bad news or there's some earnings that aren't incredible, and even earnings that are good, it's everyone's turn to start taking money out of the market this week because people are apprehensive. Because I'm just saying there's going to be an apprehensive week in the market. There could also be, bad market things that happen after the election too, that make things go down. So all that is pushing stuff down in my mind. Okay. Meaning you're just not going to see a lot of rallying and good stuff going on before the end of next week. I just don't see it. So that means you do exclusively puts. Even when you love companies like I love Tesla and I want them to go up, I'm still not doing a put on them, a long call on them. I'm not going to wager on them going up in the next week because I don't think anything's going to be going up in the next week. I think everything's super apprehensive. So, okay, well, what do we then do? Who do we put if we think that everything's going down in the next week? Well, I just sorted by the largest share price companies, and they would have the most nominal number of dollars to go down if you're talking about a potential option of things to go down. So do you want to do anything? These are really expensive options though, because companies that have a high share price tend to move pretty high up. All right. So this is one way to look at it, but we don't have comments. We do have comments, but we don't have target prices on them. I don't have the word put on them. So of course I say, well, we need to put Facebook still, right? Roblox for some reason has been going up. That's a great one to get a put on. I'll definitely buy a put on Roblox tomorrow, a week-long put that says that they go below like 40 a share or something, because I expect the market to just go down. If I'm wrong and the market goes up, I'm going to lose the money of my option. But if they go down significantly, I'm going to make a lot of money on whichever I do here. DraftKings is up to almost 16, 15 something. They're going to want to go back down to 11 or 12 like they were at. They're also, you could do it or you could wait because they just don't have a lot of value in their price. Facebook's dropped down to below 90. Facebook has dropped down to below 90. They were not there just recently. They were in a different place just a couple weeks ago. They are that, right? They did that once and then they just did that. And when you look back for the almost the year, you see they did this before. They did it here really big, and then they just did it here again. They have not sold any of us on Meta being a thing, even though I want to talk about this in the video, and I want to make a shout out to Marquez Brownlee. I think he has a really good YouTube channel. He is excellent. Or I think it's Marquez. Marquez. I don't know how to say his name, but Brownlee is the name on YouTube. he did a fantastic job, and he does really good videos. He explains tech, and he talked about, visiting. He's in a video with Zuckerberg where he's wearing the headset and he's talking about the metaverse and what you do. And he gave both sides so well. He's like, you know what? He goes, I really wanted to go in there with an open mind, but also understand the motivations behind it. And he's like, Facebook's trying to create their own network where you're a part of their network and you're paying them just like you used to when you were, getting all your ads and all your personal information being harvested. He's like, they want that network to be the metaverse. And so he's like, all right, well, is it going to be good enough that you'll want to do that and be a part of it? And he's like, it isn't, but at the same time, he saw some things that were a lot better than current Zoom things and current things. And he was like, so there's some potential with certain applications. But I mean, he made a point that he wasn't even comfortable with wanting everyone to become a metaverse addicted person, like they were a Facebook addicted person, because that's what really happened here is Facebook kind of became the hallway, like the high school hallway for everybody through their phone, right? So it became a medium by which you communicate with everybody in the hallway, right? At high school at one time, or at least you thought. And so it became super addictive. And I dropped it in 2017, never felt better as soon as I did that. I mean, just don't care. I forget it exists. And I think that a lot of people might start to be forgetting that they exist because they have such a bad reputation. That's why they changed the name to Meta. So, I mean, I could go on forever about why they're going to not succeed, even if the technology of the metaverse is good and is appealing to some. It's not going to do what they want, which is make everybody walk around with a headset all day. I mean, if you think about how ridiculous it sounds, they used to get all your ad revenue all day and all your personal stuff and all your everything, right? Like you were using their thing as a diary and a repository with visuals, with communications. You were putting your life on there, right? Don't think Zuckerberg wasn't looking at your PMs when you weren't awake, right? Because he was, he was. If he was interested, how could you not do that? If you had that ability, like, is Elon looking at everybody's DMs that he wants? Is he looking at all girlfriends' DMs on Twitter? Has anybody asked Elon? I might ask him in this video and tell him where I said this. That's another thing I want to talk about in this video. That's a good transition off of Facebook. Just understand, yes, there's still $88.90 and change for Facebook to still go down. I know that sounds crazy because of the things they own, but it isn't, because just as quick or even quicker than they gained those users, as soon as the tipping point happens and the majority of people don't want to use Facebook for anything, like when's the last time you had to do a work meeting over Facebook Messenger or whatever the heck they have? I haven't heard anybody doing that. And if somebody asked me to do that, they don't. They asked me to Zoom instead. They're like, no, let's give this conversation to the Chinese government instead. Let's do Zoom. And Zoom is a public company on here, aren't they? I gotta look for them. But we don't do this like Facebook meeting, right? And so I think that as soon as the avalanche really takes over, then all of a sudden that's why Facebook goes down to almost nothing, really. Maybe not complete zero, but very, very close in the not too distant future, because that's how fast we can shift, right? I mean, Facebook doesn't have a phone. Meta doesn't have a phone. He's trying to do it with the headset. And I also want to say, listen, I do like the idea of a augmented reality set. I just need it to be the size of sunglasses, and I need it to augment my vision so that I can pass any eye test I need to see everything at night. And like, wouldn't that be awesome if you were wearing some sunglasses that when you're driving at night, they turn into infrared or whatever, so you can see the deer on the side of the road when you're driving, just like your self-driving display might be doing in the front of your Tesla, not your Facebook car. That's why this company's going down. So I will buy a put on Facebook. I'm sad I didn't have one during that most recent avalanche of them going down, as we were looking at before. But what else did I want to talk about? Twitter, which is no longer listed. They're not listed anymore because Elon bought them. Elon bought them, and I got to admit, I do have a Twitter account, and I looked at it a little more than I normally look at it recently. And I clearly follow him. I don't follow very many people. I hardly use my Twitter account, and I almost never tweet. But I have like almost no followers because I hardly ever use the account. But I went and I've been just following what he's doing. And I found it fascinating what is happening on Twitter and with Elon. So I have them at number one here. And I comment and I say things like, I'm a parishioner at Church Elon, our Savior. And I am not a religious person at all. I'm really not. I just want facts, 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 facts. And I have a very high opinion of my own intelligence. And I think other people have a high opinion of my intelligence, believe it or not. And I make a joke, but the joke is kind of true, which is I only can think of one person who I am aware of who is smarter than me, and it is absolutely Elon Musk. This guy does stuff that I don't agree with, I would think, or I don't understand, and then he ends up being right, and I see the full picture later. And so what's really fascinating about what's going on with Elon is I will do what this guy says. Like I think I appreciate what he's doing for the world. I like the direction he's trying to take us in. It is one of the future and a future I want to be a part of. I also am surprised how he how he interacts, and sometimes I think he's wrong, but I get information from the media or my feed that is tinted against him, and now I know enough to think twice. I have so much faith in what Elon Musk is doing that when I see a bad story about Tesla or about him, I now can go to Twitter and see a different side of him, even if he's not addressing that one issue, but he will usually address almost every issue. And I like the way he's handling them on Twitter. So his own filter that he's putting on his own voice as the richest man basically on the planet. And not, if he's not the richest man, he's close. And if he, you don't even care about being the richest man, he is the most impactful man on the planet right now. And I agree with that. He's not the president, right? He's not the US president. He's not a political person in that sense, but he's got a ton of money and he runs companies that are transportation, rocketing, like tunneling, like brain stuff, like everything that I talk about and dream about, he's already done it or is doing it at the current time and seems to be the head of all of those arms. And he's walking around with sinks into Twitter and now buying Twitter. And I was like, well, why did he buy Twitter? What did he do here? And he realizes, I think, that this community environment where we're going to communicate as a species, we don't necessarily know what we're doing yet when it comes to social media. And it causes problems. He's trying to take that on and at least make it better. And it's making Twitter more interesting. So even though Twitter is not a public company anymore, I still find ways to bet on Elon, and that's with Tesla because he's still part of that. And it's just kind of I've been really now interested in tracking what's going on Twitter because I mean it's more than just a soap opera. It is somebody that the world has clearly given him a lot of support in building things that are just Tony Stark related, or just or Robert Downey Jr. wearing a suit. Like they look like the future. And so now he bought Twitter. He made a public company private. I see that as I had to remove them from this list. I'm like, wait a minute, where are they? Oh yeah, they're gone. But I'm like, no, but they're still there. No, he owns them. So like I just think it's kind of something to watch. It's going to be really, really weird. And I'll start tweeting Elon or whatever, and I'll probably get a response at some point because he might realize that I'm the second smartest person on the planet, probably. And so I think we should talk at some point because every time I think about doing an idea or theorize something from years ago or go back and revisit podcasts, I talked about so many advancements in what I thought we were going to be doing in the planet a decade plus ago in different podcast form. And he's done so many of those things and made them better in many ways. And it's just we do live in fascinating times that right before an election, Elon bought Twitter. I used to talk about Twitter and buying long calls on Twitter, TWTR, which doesn't exist anymore here. I used to talk about buying long calls on them right before elections because everyone wants to get their word out, and like people getting banned, political people getting banned from those type of platforms makes life really, really difficult and weird for them. And Elon just bought it. Just bought all of that, right? Fascinating. It really, really is when you think about what we're watching. And it just makes me want to grab some popcorn and watch, figure it out. So that's kind of the podcast for the days. Is we're gonna buy a put on Facebook, because how can you not? What's the worst thing that can happen? They go up, that it goes up for a week. Okay, well, we would lose then. I'm not worried about that happening. But everything else, there aren't other companies that are going to talk about that I want to go against. So there's only one, and then the rest will just Roblox too. Go against Roblox. I don't like the company. So go against those two, and I'll buy two puts, and I'll show you what those are tomorrow or Monday or whatever, because they're only going to be a week. They're going to expire, like I said, a week from now. I feel like it's a great pick to do something like that, and then we'll tweet Elon and see how that goes. All right, so good luck everyone. May all your trades be winning. That's the update for Friday the 4th, and we'll be back again. If not tomorrow, we'll be back on Monday with another stock market review, and then an election day stock market, which I'm sure things will be crazy and crazy and crazy. All right, good luck. May all your trades be winning.